The Shin Bet, or Israeli Security Agency, arrested 5 Israelis who were recruited by an Iranian intelligence operative, pretending to be a Jewish man, taking photographs of Israeli sites and gathering information on his behalf. Let's take a look at the report. An investigation carried out by the Shin Bet in collaboration with the Israel police has revealed that 5 Israelis, 4 women and 1 man, were in contact with Ramboud Namdar, an Iranian intelligence operative who recruited Israelis to carry out missions on behalf of the Islamic Republic. The suspects, all Jewish immigrants or descendants of immigrants from Iran, whose names are currently barred from publication, were initially recruited on Facebook and then spoke to the operative, who posed as an Iranian Jew, over WhatsApp. Some were in contact with him for years. Their missions ranged from taking photographs of strategically important sites to forming relationships with political figures and providing contact information for senior political and military officials, all in exchange for thousands of dollars.
מדינת ישראל מצויה במערכה מתמשכת מול איראן. הדברים ברורים. אנחנו מזהים מאמצים וניסיונות בלתי פוסקים של משמרות המהפכה האיראנים לגייס אזרחים ישראלים. ניסיונות אלו לא מסתכמים רק בתחום הביטחוני והמודיעיני, אלא מתרחבים גם למאמצי השפעה על אזרחי ישראל, על החברה הישראלית, לזריעת קיטוב ומחלוקת, לערעור של היציבות הפוליטית בישראל ולפגיעה באמון הציבור בשלטון. אני קורא לאזרחי ישראל, גלו ערנות לניסיונות הללו. ייתכן שמי שעומד מאחורי המידע שאתם צורכים או משתפים ברשתות הם האיראנים. שלא יהיה ספק, ידה ארוכה של מערכת הביטחון תגיע לכל מי שינסה לפגוע בביטחון ישראל.
According to the Shin Bet, 2 of the suspects include a husband and wife in their 40s from Hulon. The husband was aware of his wife's connections with Namdar and even spoke to him himself. Even though he suspected he was an Iranian intelligence agent, he continued to stay in contact and help his wife carry out her missions, even driving her to the U.S. consulate in Tel Aviv to take photographs. Another suspect, a 57-year-old woman from Bet Shemesh, was in contact with Namdar for years. She tried to convince her son to join military intelligence and sent photographs of his enlistment ceremony to Namdar. Additionally, the woman took photos of her polling box in the last elections and attempted to take photos of the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem, but was unable to do so after she was stopped by local security guards. She was also instructed to befriend a member of Knesset. All in exchange, she received $5,000 from him, a portion of which she received in Turkey from a third party when she had flown to meet with. According to the Shin Bet, she knew that he was an Iranian intelligence official but decided to continue to help him anyways. Another suspect, a 47-year-old resident of Kfar Saba, received money and jewelry from Namdar through her niece, which came to visit Israel from Iran. The final suspect, a 50-year-old woman from Jerusalem, gave Namdar information about Iranians living in Israel and other unknown pieces of information, despite her suspicions of him. In turn, she received nearly $1,000. Despite the serious breach, security officials said they do not believe any classified information was compromised that threatened national security, as the suspects did not have access to any significant information. Though, this has highlighted a serious weakness in Israel's security. And joining us now to discuss this threat and other non-conventional Iranian attempts is Oren Elimelech, founder and CEO of Cyber Team 360 and a research associate at the International Institute for Counterterrorism at IDC Herzliya. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. So this Iranian attempt seems to have targeted, initially at least, sort of unsuspecting people, in this case from the Israeli-Iranian community. So I think sort of the big question here is, are there more Israelis out there being targeted now in the same way?
Yes. First of all, this is not the first attempt. This is an ongoing activity that has been actually grown since COVID era, because it's been much harder to recruit since there's much more stricter border control and inspection. So the move to social media and trying to recruit operative and agents in foreign countries has shifted. And it's much harder to get a very proficient and very highly capable agent. So there is a higher risk also being discovered. But definitely this has been going on. There's been a report also in Shin Bet's websites and Mossad sites since 2018, 19. I think the last one was 2019, June or July 19. So this is an ongoing, but companies are being targeted. And we've seen the recent activities on, trying to recruit people that are involved in, specific positions. If you would say, for example, the persons with Gant, having them, and he actually went on his behalf, tried to get to these criminal organization, but also people from intelligence, from foreign countries are trying to recruit actively. And I want to take this opportunity for organizations, for companies, for government, for everybody. Try to review your employees, what they're publishing. And definitely, this is a cause for an alarm.
Absolutely. I mean, this latest incident really does seem to have set up sort of, a red flashing light. How can security services or companies, like you say, how can they thwart attempts like this in the future?
Very good question. First of all, they should inspect in the eyes of the attacker, which means what my employees are divulging. If you would go back, for example, and you would search a certain company, I don't want to reference her name here, but a lot of their employees publish that they're working, and this is a secretive company working for the government. And you shouldn't be able to publish that publicly, especially not on social media, whether if it's LinkedIn, Facebook, or anything else. So we should call out, and those companies should put the threat landscape that foreign operatives, or intelligence operations from foreign countries, what are they looking for? And if my employees are not aware, they will be susceptible, whether if it's convincing them, money-wise, monetary, trying to influence this, or blackmailing them, or even, they'll be targeted for a malicious, by a malicious threat actor, even without their knowing, they'll be targeted for that. So definitely companies, organization, government should raise their defenses and try to inspect in the eyes of the attacker, the eyes of threat actor, intelligence companies, what are they divulging to the outside.
That's in terms of companies, but take, for example, the average Israeli who's scrolling through social media, joining different groups, meeting new people online. How can they tell the difference? How can they, sort of identify fake content or fake users like we saw in this case?
Okay, so first of all, I like to say trust no one. The same way that we watched the movie years ago, X-Files, all right? I don't trust anybody. I suspect everything. If you think of a picture is bogus, Google has a service called reverse search photo. And you can take that picture, put it inside, it will tell you exactly if that's being used as an avatar by somebody else who didn't took the picture. We've seen it thousands of times, but definitely don't believe anything and try to, throat their, what they're asking, try to suspect everything, try to make sure, even if somebody tells you, I came by a relative, a friend, somebody you trust, and no, that person might have been influenced. He might have been, his account might have been hacked. Also, I recommend for each one of us, the simple Joe, okay, the average Joe, put a two-factor authentication, change your password quite frequently, be vigilant, be aware, and don't open any attachment, any links. And if you're getting anything that seems too good to be true, it is. Usually it is. And if somebody is giving you something for free, then you are probably the asset. They want what you have as a person, where you're connected to, or, just having your data. And that recalls for everything.
Now, aside from social media attempts, what other attempts have we seen from the Iranians in terms of sort of non-conventional warfare that have been used to target Israelis?
We've seen by Iranian, we've seen numerous attacks, specifically grown in the last 2-3 years. It's been published over the news about threat actors that are coming from Iran, various, whether this pay-to-key, black shadows, all those are actually targeting municipalities, services, companies, organization in Israel in order to influence the country, the narrative about the Iran. They're trying to leverage the attack and take it to the financial terms. We've seen attack on various hospitals, municipalities, financial organizations coming from Iran, whether those are affiliated to the government or just, ran from Iran as a proxy, it's yet to be ascertained. But definitely, we've seen a huge increase in the last 2-3 years, and that is being growing. And this to say that Iran shouldn't be, this shouldn't be treated so easily. They have capabilities. We should put them into consideration and definitely be vigilant and aware of their capabilities.
All right, Oren Elimelech, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you.